Hey everyone, welcome back to Guitars with David. And today we're doing the second part video of the 1981 one owner all original Gibson Les Paul Deluxe that we have here on the bench. And today in this video what we're going to be doing is I'm going to be covering how to clean and really look to accomplish this restoring close as possible to the original appearance shine of the rosewood board and the fret wire, just as close as that as we can get today. As we see here going up and down the board, the frets are extremely dirty and dull, and there's just a lot of grit and grime, sweat, dust and dirt over the years that has accumulated. And overall, this guitar is in really good condition. The Nashville bridge is pretty dirty and gritty as well, so we're going to be doing some polishing on those pieces. So right now, going to take the strings off, just loosen the tuners a little bit and just cut these things right off of here. The strings are extremely old and really rusty, and with the really dull, dirty frets and board, just trying to play this guitar is really just, it feels like a disaster. So I know after we conclude this video and all the cleaning, hydrating of the board, conditioning, and just thorough cleaning of this, it's going to be so much better. It's going to be like new again, hopefully. So let's get these strings off here out of the way, and we can get a little bit closer look at the fret wire and the board. And as we take the tailpiece and the Nashville bridge off, just kind of checking underneath to make sure that they are in fact the original, and the tailpiece looks like it with a solid welding line down the middle, and yes, made in Germany stamp at the corner of the bridge. There's a close-up clear picture. My camera's not able to zoom in very well with the fine print. All right, so let's get the posts from the bridge and tailpiece out of the way. All right, there they go. And now for the screws on the pick guard. And it appears that the top narrow section of the pick guard is kind of stuck to the top finish of the guitar. So I'm just going to pry that up gently. It already has a crack, so I don't want to break it. There we go. Got that off there. Looks really good. And that spot underneath there looked really bad until just to wipe it off, and it's really just a lot of dust from corrosion. All right, so step one, go ahead and getting a layer of the conditioning oil. Get it a little bit hydrated, and kind of see if it'll soak in some of this grit and grime around the frets, so we can little help out with getting it cleaned off here in just a minute. And as we see back on the first frets, it's already soaking into the wood, so really dry. And look at all that gunk on the top of the bottle applicator. All right, so covered all the frets now. And at the end of this video, once we are completed with all of the cleaning and conditioning and polishing of the fret wire and the board, this shine should actually look much better than what we're seeing right now. All right, so just kind of taking a towel, just wiping the bulk of it off and seeing what bit of the green slime and gunk and sweat and dirt and no telling what all over the years it's settled on this board and around the fret wire. Get as much of that off as possible. I'm betting this is going to look really bad on the rag. Not too bad on the first fret. Now, this guitar actually has hardly any fret wear. Now, you're probably thinking, man, you're crazy. Look at all that. Now, all these spots that, would look like fret wear is actually just dirt from really old strings and I'm guessing some dirty hands and, just over the years, it just made dirt spots along the frets. Get a little close-up look. Looks like some rusty surface spots there on those frets. And you can see all the scratching and grinding that the strings have done on the tops of the fret wire there. Got a lot of green gunk embedded in between the board and all around the frets. All right. So after that first round of cleaning, I'm going to go ahead and take the pickups out and check out the cavities. Very nice. Very pleased with the condition of this. The original pockets and the hardware and even those little bitty foam blocks that the pickup sits on, really nice condition, no splintering at all. And hey, if you guys are wondering, these two screw holes right in the center, they're not being used right now. That is so if you wanted to swap out these mini humbuckers and install P90s in here, you can. Now the neck pickup doesn't really seem to want to come out. Flip the guitar over, remove the screws and the large cavity plate cover to reveal the pots and wiring, and just make sure that any excess slack in your pickup wiring is not pulled all the way into that cavity area. If it is, you need to push it back through the hole up towards the routed area where the pickups are. That way you can put that slack back up there and actually be able to then remove the pickup. All right, so now that the initial clean of the fretboard and around the frets, just as best as I could get it is, we're going to go on to the next step here. Going to actually be deep cleaning the rosewood board and polishing the frets at the same time. And one way to do that is using steel wool. Now, if you use steel wool, only use the Quad Zero fine steel wool. You do not want to use anything less than that because you do not want to cause scratches and gouges in the fret wire or dig into the rosewood board any more than just a light scuffing to clean away. Steel wool works very well with polishing the frets and as well as cleaning the trapezoid inlays as well as the rosewood board. Now you want to be sure that on the rosewood board and the inlays you're not going side to side. Do not do that. You want to follow the grain of the board and only go up and down the board in between the frets as you see me doing here. Also see that this is really immediately getting a lot of gunk and trash off the board that we can see on the steel wool itself. Now we're not taking really anything off of the top of the wood itself. We're just really doing a light scuffing to clean off all of the grit, grime, sweat, dirt, and gunk that has just really settled on the top of the rosewood board after 40 years. This is a 1981 model Gibson. So this process takes, you You can do it in an hour, 2 hours is usually what I take to do it. As I get to the last fret here, I'm just going to kind of go over everything again. Really focus on the fret ends. Alright, so I believe I have gotten all the gunk, green goo, and just trash off the board now, and the trapezoid inlays really brightened up quite a bit. I was really happy about that. So just kind of going over the entire area now with a vacuum cleaner. Do not want to get any of those steel wool, the flake offs. I want to be sure that you get those cleaned off. And of course, definitely, as we have here, cover the pickups and guitar, because the last thing you want is little metal fibers getting around magnets and metal, such as the pickups. So that is a very important step that you want to be sure that you do, so that you don't have that mess creep up on you, because that would be a disaster trying to get all that clean. All right, just taking a quick look up and down the board at the frets, at the rosewood itself. There's still just a little bit of trash here and there. It's, mostly there's really fine dust flakes from the steel wool everywhere. Some of it's hard to see, but the first thing we want to do now is actually go over with some tissue or cloth, or just whatever you have is fine, and just really good go over the board and around the frets. Look at all that's coming off there. Just tons of that flake dust from the steel wool. Make sure to have good coverage up and down the board, all around the frets. Wow, that one's really bad. So just take your time with this, because you want to be thorough and not leave any of that on there. It's probably going to take several passes up and down all of the frets to get all this fine dust and gunk off of there from the steel wool. Which is why you want to do this on a table and put some good paper towels, something underneath the entire guitar. You don't want to just put this thing on your lap and start doing this while you're sitting on the couch. You're going to have a really bad mess on your hands if you do that. Just get really good up around the corners now. Make several passes and then switch towels. Or in this case, I'm using Kleenex, which that's fine for this step. And as you can see, the board looks really nice now, way better than it did at the beginning of the video. And here's a nice overview of all the frets. So last step here is we're going to go over all of the board and the frets again with another round of the Dunlop conditioning oil. And I'm going to let this sit just a couple minutes. As much gunk that was around the frets on the board itself, after getting all that off, you really need to do another round of this to make sure you have coverage and hydration and conditioning equally across all the rosewood board, and one last swipe of just get a good cleaning and as you're wiping all this oil off on the second round. Again, look at those trapezoid inlays, those pearloid material that they use back in. Really nice, really stands out. here is finished product. Look at that. Looks very, very nice. Fret wire shines, smooth. And when we do some playing demos, and that's probably going to be in the next video, we're going to compare this vintage 81 Gibson with the brand new 2021 70s Deluxe. And we're just going to do some tone demos and playing demos on both guitars and just kind of compare the two.